So I was just perusing the internet as one does sometimes, and I came across this beauty. Oh my god, this is meant to be like, as they say, like a ML63 AMG Mercedes, which is like an SUV thing. It is a big Jesus Christ. But then I thought, you know what? I myself have made a fair amount of garbage in my time. And the one that seems to come up a lot is this hybrid mod. I remember when making that was a particularly tricky mod to make work, and it has bugged me ever since, but it's actually picked up a lot of popularity recently with people going, oh, you need to update it, it's broken. It's not broken, doesn't need to be updated, it's just really bad to use. Now, if you don't know, automation is the sort of game where you can just go around and make basically any sort of car you want, but the one thing you can do is change all the engineering, like the tires, the type of transmission you got. There's lots of graphs you can look at. You can pick from like a plethora of bodies that you can use. But when it comes to the engine, it's a little bit peculiar because the only things you can pick from are petrol-based fuels. I mean, there's methanol, nitromethane, leaded, unleaded ethanol, all that sort of stuff. But there's no diesels, there's no electric, at least native in the game, and then there's also definitely no hybrid in the game. I mean, the game is set to 2012 as like the default age. That's kind of like the median point from where everything is based off of. And in 2012, we had hybrids and we had electrics. Diesels was so ubiquitous, they actually finally started to drop out of fashion because we started to realize that there was different types of greenhouse gases that cars can make, and diesels didn't really fit into that. Now, yes, it is true that you can export a car with electric settings to have an electric motor put in. It's not a perfect setup, but I mean, it kind of works. So what I want to do is make a hybrid mod and make it not garbage this time, so people can easily put it in. And here's that same car that I made in automation, very simply and very easily exported to BMG. It's a little commuter thing, just a little bit of fun, you know. I spend a lot of time fiddling in automation. I absolutely love it. This is also just a simple automatic all-wheel drive setup. And because it's all-wheel drive, we're going to have a differential in the front and a differential in the rear. And this is where I started causing problems. I had it set up so then I think you had to have like all-wheel drive. I mean, it was so bad that I tried to look at it probably 2 months ago and I went, I don't know how I made this work. Like, I did make it work, but it was so bad to use. But it turns out I didn't need to do this. So let me bring out a rear-wheel drive automation car. Here's an absolute wild, stupid thing that I made. It's just, I kind of fixture bombed it just for the hell of it. I wanted to make something berserk. And in here, in the rear suspension, you'll see it's got a rear differential. But if we go to the front, there's no differential slot. Now that got me thinking. Does that mean that automation cars that are only rear-wheel drive don't have the front-wheel drive slot? Well, that's actually not entirely the whole story. If there is a slot, but there is no accompanying part for it to go to, it just won't show the slot. So let's dig in. Here's the mod, and let's go into the suspension for the front. That's the mesh. Whoops. There we go. There's the suspension. And if we have a look right here, as expected. Okay. So, to make modding a little bit easier, I think they have like the default slots when exporting from automation, and then they only have to worry about whether the part actually exists or not, and then that'll make the slot show up in the part selector. But because of the way in which they've done that, we can retcon it and do whatever we need to do. But because I also know a lot more about coding now, I can also do different types of hybrid. But what we're going to be generally doing is the easiest and most supported way of doing a hybrid system. One set of wheels is driven, or that one, doesn't really matter, and then the opposite one will be the one that is the electric motor. So, Camso Hybrid V2. And instead of making making this like a thing which you used to have to drag and then drop into a car, I think is how I used to have that set up. It was a really terrible idea. I could just make a common folder, so then every time somebody has an automation car, the parts will just be there available. So common, and now everything will be available to every car, but specifically we're going to have automation parts. And to start with, we have a differential. And now we just start fiddling and fiddling. I don't think we're going to have a welded different electric motor. I'm not sure about a race motor. Half shafts we can keep, and drive shaft, ooh, we don't particularly need, but we'll revisit that later. What we're also going to do is retcon a bit of their electric motor code. So we got like an electric motor controller. If we have a look in here, is there anything we need? No, we just need some of these slots. Though, in fact, actually, I don't think we need any of this. I think all I really need is, because this is the rear suspension version, engine structure, no. We want the electric motor front and the speed limiter. And what is in these electric motor files? We have, oh, okay, a very specific name. That helps, because it can't be the same as the normal one. And then we have some vehicle controller stuff. I think this actually might be a lot easier than what I thought. The only final suffering point is the fact that I'm going to need a battery. So here's the problem with that. If we have a look under the part selector, we got fuel tank, but in there you can also have the battery. And you can't have two things having the same slot name. It just doesn't work like that. I can't have the fuel tank and the battery. So I'm going to need to make a custom battery, unfortunately. I can't just use whatever. So we're gonna have to make a copy of this, and we can put that in here at the end. Change the slot type, which is the important one, and I think that's all we need here. So let me put that into a new slot. Right there, and right, nope. Hold on, right there. Now, I realize that I've done this the wrong way around, because this is for a front-wheel drive car. Do I even have a front-wheel drive car ready at the moment? I don't think I do. Wait, no, hold on, there's this one. Some of you may recognize this vehicle, where I talked about common files and folders recently as well. Let's reload the game cache thingy. And now, with a petrol in the front, in the rear, damn it. You know what, actually, this is an old mod. Let's go rework to a front drive. Make a duplicate, and then change everything rear to front. We can put the part in. We got the hybrid battery, but it's not actually... oh, and the battery's not even going in. And it's also not showing the front motor. Some funkiness is going on. I think I just realized I don't need half shafts. And I don't need drive shaft. I think I can actually get rid of the drive shaft altogether. Okay, let's put the differential back in. It is recognized, but still only the battery. And can we put the battery in? No. Oh, I see now. Because it's only rear wheel drive, there's only a rear motor, not a front motor. Oh, how do I go about this? We got like a powertrain line here, got a bunch of things to take into consideration, but I don't think it particularly matters what sort of motor it goes to, except this line right here. So, I could get people to export as all-wheel drive again, then intercept the transfer case. That's something I could do easily. What does a transfer case look like? It takes in the drive shaft and sends... oh, well, that's easy. But now I'm back into the whole thing of adding in a whole bunch of extra steps that'll confuse people. It needs to be super simple for people to use. I don't want to just stick in my own electric motor, because that may not fit the needs of other people, but I think I'm going to have to. So let's grab the electric motor, and then, hold on, I remember now, we actually have a bunch of variables we're going to need. Let's start by grabbing all of them and plopping them in. And we don't need engine offsets. Don't need exhaust. torque split is the one we're going to want. And I think we can leave the regen as well. This does make my life a little bit more complicated because we're going to have to finagle a lot of things to make this work. For instance, this is called torque split. Instead, we're going to call this a torque multiplier. It'll make sense in a bit. That should be about right. It is going to get a little bit confusing with the torque multiplier, whatever. Let's now go over to the hybrid motor, and this is where the torque split comes in. As you can see here, it multiplies it. And what the general idea is that with this power graph that you're seeing here, or actually torque graph, because this is RPM versus torque, it multiplies and then shifts the maths around. So like it'll take away from one side and add to the other. You get the idea, but we're just using this in general to give more or less. Make sense? Good. Now let's make a copy of this for the front. Now, quick little refresh. Is that going to break anything? Okay, things are not broken. Let's have a look at our front differential. Good. Battery empty. Come on, hybrid battery. You can do it. Damn it. We'll look into that in a second. Speed limiter, none. But the electric motor is in. It's just, for the moment, we can't get power to it. Let's have a look at the powertrain visualizer. How's that looking now? We do have power going all the way to the rear. What is happening here? It's revving, but it says it has no battery. Fuel tank, race car, gasoline. Yeah, no, that's correct. I am so confused as to why it's not working. Going into here, going into the transmission. Okay, the clutch is not working. Okay, so BeamNG doesn't like to control more than one gearbox at a time, and I think that's where this is starting to fail. How do I go about this? I wonder, I think I can just delete these two, so say goodbye to that. Oh, okay, well that's worked quite easily. Aha, experience wins out again over any sort of logic. Let's lift that up. Okay, we're not actually getting any electric drive, however. Oh, I've done something. The battery is working. I don't actually know what it is that I did, but it seems to be working. Okay. Let's double check this. Nope. Okay, it says that it works, but there is actually no RPM getting to the wheels. Because that says that the half shafts are spinning at 9,000 RPM. That's a wrong'un. Why are my half shafts not working? Ah, okay, I didn't put the right things in there. Okay, good. And front half shafts, in they go. Oh, good, they're working. As you can see, it's gone a little bit wonky, but let's lift this up. And, yes, okay. Basically, one part, and in it goes. So let's drop you down. And, oh, that feels a lot faster with just that little bit of hybrid in there. I'm guessing it's not giving us too much power, however. Maybe it's the torque ratio. Final drive, okay. This is where we're getting into a problem, because I don't think I have actually a front final drive amount. As you can see, yeah, there's nothing set. Frick! Does this have like a final... Okay, good. There's a final drive. Is this race? Perfect. We're going to need to grab some things from here, and this is going to require tuning each time to make it work the way you want it to. First part will go into here, and then we're going to grab rear diff, and that's going to go in here as well. Now, it has a tunable final drive. The default is a bit long. Wait, do we want... No, this will give us a lot of good power ratio. At the moment... Oh, a little bit of traction control happening there. We could do a bit of calculation with RPM. The input is 261 and the output is 384, making the drive ratio about a 1.5 approximately. That'll be suffocating a lot of the power. Now let's refresh the car and then drive. Did I do this wrong? Yep, I put that in for the rear differential. I haven't done it for the front yet. Getting ahead of myself, woo! All right, let's put the same things in here, except change that to F. Please work the way I want you to. No, that seems to be about the same still. Damn it. 500 to 600, yep, no, that's still the same. This is turning out to be a little bit more complicated than what I was hoping at first, but we are slowly but surely getting there. Oh, you know what? I just realized what I did. I didn't change this to front. Oh, that is much different already. So let's get it up to speed, and that gives us a diff ratio of 3.4. Oh, well, close enough. We now have ourselves our hybrid system. Hell yeah. Okay, well, this thing is jiggling a lot. Jesus. Additional modification, rigidification. If you don't know about my rigidification mod, I have a video on making like my cars much more rigid out of automation. It's a bit of a hack, but it does a very good job. Hell yeah, brah. Epic as, bro. Look at all of that hybrid, like, pulling me forwards. Oh, I love it. Let's quickly take the engine out for a second. That was a mistake, because now it doesn't drive. Let's take out the rear differential and just have a front-wheel drive hybrid with this. Yep, that's a hell of a lot slower. That diff ratio that we have is just insane. Now, let's make sure that the front-wheel drive can get a rear-wheel drive setup. Nope, okay, this is an old mod. Let's actually double-check this. Suspension rear for this thing. Slots does not come default with the other differential slot. Okay. This can only work with recent exports. Well, that's a shame. Wait, I just remembered these things are front-wheel drive. Let's go check that out. Perfect. Rear suspension. Rear differential. That is a mess. What the hell? I'm seeing the electric motor there, go to here and then to here. I wish I could like click and drag things around. Devs, please. BeamNG devs, I need this. We got everything. We got the battery, half shafts in there, no speed limiter. Perfect. Let's lift the rear up and drive. Perfect. Let's change that final drive ratio. Lift it up again. And that does seem to be working appropriately. Perfect. Everybody, you can stop complaining. The perfect hybrid mod. Except I've got a few things I want to change now. Namely, this needs to change. I think we're just going to set this to a very simple 500. Wait, I wonder. I think we can also change the RPM area parameters as well. Since these are both unquoted sort of sections, I think we can put quotation maths in here as well. And since everything seems fairly standard, I think we only need 3 RPMs. Stick with me. If we change this to 100, delete everything to about 1,000, and then delete everything to here, and we'll call this 1100. Grab this kind of math that we got here, plop you in there, and grab this and plop it in there. Except this is going to be, actually, no, hold on. Plop it in there. This is going to be RPM multiplier. Okay, let's grab the multiplier thing, go into the differential section, and then, which one's the, okay, here's the torque one. And then I realized that this needs to be a torque mult max, and this needs to be a multiplier. So step distance will probably be, if we're going up in increments of 1, does that work? Hold on. There's a lot to do here. If we got a different torque multiplier now, it's timesing our 100 Newton meters. 10 times 100 would be 1,000 Newton meters, which is a lot. Okay, so that can go up to 10. Default is going to be 1. The maximum RPM is set to 1,000 RPM. Let's say we can go up to 20,000 RPM, so we'll times that by 20, then duplicate this and put max in there, and step distance 1, good, okay. Let's refresh this. God, I wish I could just take out the front motor right now, but for some reason when I take the front motor out, it just bugs everything out. This has become rather tricky. So I tried to figure out a way in which I could show you what power you're outputting, but it just doesn't work that way. Currently, it'll only ever show like the petrol motor, I think, first. So I can't get a, wait. Okay. That's something that never existed before. Holy shit. Thank you, devs, for putting that in. That's amazing. Oh, that means that there's a very good possibility that the BeamNG devs are looking into putting in dual motor controlling. This is amazing. But what's not amazing is what I've done here. Basically, what I ended up doing is making the torque thing be just the amount of torque we're making, and then we got the RPM multipliers in here being exactly the thing. It'll make sense in a second. Give me a minute. Under hybrid here, we got just the amount of power that the thing will make, and then we got the RPM limit. I just realized where my mistake is. But anyway, we got the RPM that'll go up to, and then the amount of like overrun we got. What I did wrong is this is meant to just be 0. Oh, you know what, 10. Now if we refresh, then go up to here to set it back to the rear motor, we can see that it starts to drop off, but we don't have like a massive amount of like overrun sort of thing. So let's put that up to a much higher okay, well, that's going to reset every single time. And there we could see. So the amount of power we've set this to is 1,000 Newton meters, or I should say torque. Then we've got the RPM set to 10,000 RPM, so it goes all the way up to 10,000, and then it starts to drop off. This you'd want to have like really high, maybe? Potentially? Oh, god damn it. All right, every single time. That is looking a little bit more hybrid-like. Now, if only I had like a battery thing, because this only shows, I think, like the petrol, not the battery amount. As we wind out this video, I just kind of wanted to show that this thing is so much faster than what it's meant to be. I've almost effectively doubled the horsepower of this vehicle. So it cooks its brakes so incredibly quickly. It's meant to be like some sort of time attack car sort of thing. But it like maxes out its RPM so easily, and then the brakes cook itself when it's done maxing out its speed. It's very wild. I just wanted to show how much bigger this hybrid is. Also, keep in mind that the effective brake torque sort of thing, the regen stuff that the hybrid motor does, will change your brake bias to whichever side has the stuff on it. So this one is a little bit more understeery, kind of, but I just suck at driving, so it oversteers a lot. And you're about to see that this thing is just gonna max out its top speed. It's pretty wild. I'm actually quite shocked. I didn't expect it to be quite so well done when I was done with this. I thought this was still going to be quite jank, but it actually wasn't. So you know what also isn't jank? Hitting that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Well, I mean, my driving's jank, so we'll just ignore that part as well. But for now, aside from my jank driving, I want to thank my channel members. And that specifically includes my top tier channel member, the Rogue Tick, the Crown Priest, who is, in fact, a top tier channel member. What is this screen? All right, for now, though, I'll catch you all next time. Goodbye.